I didn't give me a countdown. Hey, all right. Hey, y'all. Welcome back. This is Dr. Jamesia, the nurse practitioner extraordinaire. I am also your intermittent fasting and mindset coach, YouTube influencer, speaker, author, all the things. And I'm here with Carmel Jean Francois, and she's part of Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits. We make up Black Coffee, Honey, and Grits, myself, her, and Maisha Kalfani. And introduce yourself. Hello, Carmel.
Hello, hello. Just like you said, I am Carmel. I think I'm going to start using Coach Carmel. You know, the C and the C. It sounds kind of good. So I'm going to say I am Coach Carmel. I am your health and wellness, fitness, and nutrition coach. I work with folks who have come to realize that they have a food and sugar addiction, and I assist them in adapting a whole food, plant-based lifestyle in order to combat the addiction and whatever chronic conditions that come along with it. And so I'm pretty much here always telling people add more plants to your plate and get some fitness and movement into your life. So that's me. Hello, everyone.
Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about abundant mindset hacks. And honestly, really, I can say, okay, y'all, just be positive, think positive, and we're done. Good night. But we're not going to do that. We're going to just talk a little bit more about how to do that, how to get that, what our experiences are. And if you guys have anything to say, just put it in the chat so we can hear what you guys have to say and respond to it. But basically, the conversation came about, or the topic came about because Carmel, a lot of people ask me about my upbringing and how was I able to stay positive through going through some homelessness at one time, being on my own since I was 15, not having any money, doing my thing, starting a business, going on and on and on. And how did I stay with a good mindset? Because I could have went either way, right?
Yeah.
It could have went really, really negative, but actually it didn't. It kind of went positive. So I think more than anything is because I really always knew that God had my back, period. Point blank. Like whatever God has for me is for me. And I always kept my mindset like that, in that, state of mind, even though I had some rough spots, right? I always had the thought that, no matter what, I'm going to be good. Right. And I feel like if I didn't, maybe things would have went a little bit different, like it could have been a little bit bad for me, but I always kept in the forefront positivity, that I was going to stay positive. I was going to keep moving forward, and I was going to do something positive. You know how you have those people in your life who are like, yeah, you're going to be just like your mama. Yeah, I don't know. You're going to end up being pregnant at 16, this, that, and the other, right? Of course, I had those people that said things like that, but I never let that really stick. So,
did it ever anger you? Did it ever say, you know what? No, I'm not. Like, I'll
yeah,
show you.
like motivation, like,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I was like, oh no, I'm not that girl at all. And that's not gonna happen, because guess what? I'm gonna go down there to Planned Parenthood. I'm gonna get some birth control anyway, and I'm not doing that, right? But yeah, that was part of the motivation too. So I think when I think about all of the things that people go through, not just me, and the crazy thing is, as I got older, I found out that there were more people going through just as much as I was going through. So that part, I feel like it could go either way. You can go negative or you can go positive. But having the hack, I think for me, the hack for me was number one, God has my back no matter what. And number two, I'm going to stay positive because I'm just going to keep moving forward. There's no way I can fail. So I think mindset and staying on the positive side. What are your thoughts about that?
I wanted to ask you a question. Was it that you knew what you wanted? You knew what the end goal was for you? No, like, never mind staying positive. I feel like there's something that kept you keeping positive. There's something that kept you looking forward and focused. What was it that you were focused on? Did you know what the end goal was?
Well, the end goal was to not be a failure. Like I wasn't going to fail. There's
Oh, so it wasn't that I'm gonna be a doctor. It was just kind of like whatever I'm doing right now, I'm not gonna fail. I'm gonna win at it. Is
I
that what that was?
right. But I always said I was going to be a doctor.
Okay.
I always had that mindset.
Mhm.
Always did. That, which is weird. I even wrote that down several places. But it was more or less, no, I'm going to prove them wrong. I'm going to prove everybody
Mm.
wrong. I'm going to be successful. And God has so much out here, and I'm going to get some of it. So
Yes.
it was never a scarcity type thing for me. Even though there were some times that were low, it was never scarcity. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that when we take out of the equation any type of failure or any type of negativity, then there's nothing other than positivity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I hear you. I hear you. I feel like for some people, there might be no role models or no realistic, winning, positive examples in their life for them to even draw from. So
Right.
even the naysayers, because I often say, we need our cheerleaders, but we also need the naysayers, because sometimes the naysayers are the ones who help push you forward, just like in your case. But I'm wondering, for the people who never had that positive role model, the positive leaders, teachers, parental guidance, the ones who didn't have that positivity in their lives, I wonder how easy or difficult it is for them. So I'm just coming off of a weekend where I was with a group of women.
Mm-hmm.
And the organization that I'm with is called the Women of Impact and Women of Impact International. I know there's another I in there, Women of Impact and Innovation International. And there was this one particular woman that said her mother was a terrible mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she was never surrounded by love, and she ended up in an abused home where her father abused her, and she had to break out of that. And interestingly enough, she ended up having 2 or 3 boys of her own. And I feel like it's so interesting when God gives people children, and seeing where she was coming from, where there were no positive female role models. She ended up being a very, very strong woman raising boys. And I think that's such an interesting dynamic when I hear of women's stories and what they end up giving birth to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's by mistake. I think that God uniquely knows what everybody can handle and what they're prepared for. Like, this young woman is so strong, she can raise men. And so hearing you talk about the positivity, and you focus, and I know that your mother was, even though they were like, oh, you're going to be just like your mom, and you're like, no, that's not going to happen. I know that your mother was a very strong, positive role model in your life. And that's something so amazing to draw from.
Mm-hmm.
Where for me, I feel like if I was on my own since I'm 14 or 15, I would have crawled into a hole somewhere, because I was raised up very differently. Yes, my mother was a strong woman, but she was very timid and very afraid of the outside world for us, for her children. So I feel like I was always very, very sheltered. At the thought of me even going away to college scared me. So I didn't go away to college. I commuted to school when I was in college, because my mother kept us in this bubble verbally. She didn't say you can't go. She, like, through her words and actions previously, were like, I don't want to go out into the big world. So I feel like in your predicament, positivity or no, I think it would have been more fear-based, like, what's out there in the world that's going to get me. My hair's doing something funny. And and that's what would have kept me back, because I hate to be long-winded, but I feel like I've always been positive, but positive in my little bubble. And then when I did come out into the real world, and I'm like seeing the things that people go through in life, these tough lives, I'm like, wow, they're the strong ones. Never mind my positivity. Although it's something that I do love about myself. I think it's a great attribute. So I don't know.
What I got from what you said was, with the lady that you were around and your mother, and then my mother also, was the people or the environment that you're around is also a hack, right?
Oh yeah.
So for say, for instance, if I needed or wanted to grow my business, right, I would surround myself by people who want to grow their business, or people who are successful. That's a hack in itself.
100%.
Or around people who have overcome certain situations.
Yes.
right? So that to me is a hack as well. So you, even if you cannot bring up the strength or muster the strength yourself, you can put yourself in situations of abundance, of
Mhm.
positivity, of resources. So that's a hack also.
Mhm.
So
It's intentionally seeking that out at this point, right? If you especially if you know your environment, your community does not provide that for you.
mm-hmm,
Let me seek this out and find the qualities in other people outside of my world that find the qualities that I need to possess in order to become who I need to become.
mm-hmm, absolutely. Yeah. And so that's another. So that's the first hack that we'll talk about or that we've mentioned is surrounding yourself by people who have the character, the resources, or the ability of what you want. That's
Hmm.
a hack. So that can rub off on you. Not only can it rub off on you, it could be a resource for you to get the next thing that you need to get, right? To the next
Hmm.
level or that next grant or a connection to someone in the business you're in. So that too. And that can keep you, moving forward in your business or whatever. The other thing that I wanted to mention too that I hear a lot of people say is that there's not enough out there. There's not enough money. There's not enough men. There's not enough whatever out there, right? And I think that if you begin to think about things in terms of abundance, in terms of there's plenty of that for me. There's plenty of resources, there's plenty of money, there's plenty of men, there's plenty of whatever, then you begin to draw that energy to you. What are your thoughts on that, Carmel?
Um, yeah, uh-oh. My
What's
computer's
that?
doing something weird. Can you
Okay.
still hear me?
I can hear you and see
Okay.
you.
Okay. Well, my computer every once in a while, it just does not like me being on the computer. So, so
Oh no. So she froze. So I'm not sure exactly what she was going to say, but she is frozen. So I'm going to continue on. I see that we're still going live, but yeah, I'm going to continue on. So the other thoughts too that I was thinking that begin to wreck our abundant mindset is, oh hi Carmel, she's looks like she might be back there. Hey there.
I really need a new computer. I'm not quite sure how to navigate this, but okay. So, Dr. Jamesia, if
Uh-huh.
if I understand correctly, you were asking about the people who think that there's not enough out there, like there's
Hmm.
not enough resources, there's not enough men, there's not enough money.
Hmm.
I can't even relate to that.
Right.
I've always heard that there's not enough money. All the good men are either taken or in jail or whatever it is that people tend to say, which I think is preposterous. It's just silly. But I feel like I'm in a community where people are always saying there's just an abundance of everything, of
Hmm.
money, of resources, of talent, of skills, of friendship, of community, of food. I feel like I'm always around people who are saying that there's an abundance of. So with that question, I was just like, wow, I don't even know if I can answer that question. I can't
Hmm.
relate. Um, I I feel like there's an abundance of everything.
Of everything, right?
Everything. Like God always provides. And not to glaze over the first thing that you said when we got on, which was faith. You always had faith that God had your back. I think that's such an important piece to the element because whereas you had that faith, so many people lack the faith. And so
Mm.
even talking in abundance and where there's lack and not enough of this and not enough of that, that's them not feeling that faith that God will always provide. And
Mhm.
I feel like even when I'm at my lowest of low and I feel like, oh my goodness, am I even going to be able to pay mortgage this month? And all of a sudden, God's always kind of like, yes, I got you. Just say the word.
Mhm.
And instantly, it comes in ways that I would not have expected. And it comes in ways that is so blatant to me that God has my back. It's so blatant to me that, I just keep trekking along and I'm like, it's going to happen. Like, I, I feel like I can be untouched. And even if I didn't make mortgage, let's say that's just the example I'm using, I still feel like I am untouchable. Like
Mhm.
I will see this thing through. And usually it's not by my own will. It's divine intervention. I feel like it happens so often I cannot deny it. And I
Mhm.
think for people to stop and realize and focus that there is something greater at play, oftentimes, many times. And if they don't feel that abundance, if they don't feel the miracle of God shining a light in their lives, then they're so wrapped up in negativity and lack that it's going to take a lot more than just a positive thinking or
Yeah.
affirmation, yeah,
Yes.
to get them out,
Mhm.
because God is such a big part of that, and faith and knowing that your higher being wants to see you thrive.
Mhm.
And you cannot, the only way you can shun that is by just not believing and ignoring the blessings.
Mhm.
Yeah, so no, I believe in abundance.
Yeah. When you were saying that, I was like, yeah, that's crazy because sometimes if we were speaking in terms of hacks, then that's again too just like being around people who have faith,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
being around people who can just spill over on you. Like you're like, no, I just know no matter what, even though I don't have money for my rent, I know it's gonna be here when it needs to be here
Yeah,
because it's always been and God has
yeah,
not ever shown up, right?
right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah. Mm.
That's so good. That's so good. Again, I told you that I was away at this weekend affair, and this organization um, that through this function is a Christian based. So I was around all of these women that was speaking so many blessings into my life, into my business, into me, that just like you said, it's that community. I embraced it. It felt like so much love and power and light in it. How could you not feel joyful and abundant and like you can thrive and you can overcome anything and
Mm.
everything
Yeah,
simply because he has my back.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I was remembering what you said about how people who have not had anything positive around them or not been in a positive atmosphere or um, have just been in bad situations, right?
Mhm.
And they don't know what we know. They don't
Mhm.
have what we have, right?
Mhm.
They just have nothing.
Mhm.
How do they get there? What are the tools? So I can think of a couple. I'm just going to say two things. Um, and it's not a will your way into something. It's just your mindset and
Mhm.
knowing that there's more out there and the more can be yours, right? So
Mhm.
the first thing I want to say is to a thing you can do if you cannot, if you're in a situation where you can't be somewhere else magically, right? Or in a better situation, then there's sometimes it's good to read a book about where you want to be. That's why motivational books are good, self help books are good,
Mhm.
books about another place you want to go to is good so that you
Mhm.
can read it and you really can transport yourself there
Yeah.
through someone else's words. So that's always a thing that I tell people that's fairly free that you can do. Also, just begin to affirm and write things down,
Mm.
affirm and write things down. And even though it may seem like it's not working or something's not working, it really is working. It's working its way through the universe and through God
Mhm.
to, to bring to bring that into your life.
Mhm.
It's a small portion of it.
That's amazing. Um, One of the women I met this weekend, she was telling the story about how um, she used to be a basketball player in school,
Mhm.
and one day her teacher came to see her play ball, and she's a different girl on the court. Like in school, she's a good girl, but on the court, she's like cussing,
Yeah,
and she gets passionate about her game. And the next day she was like, she saw the teacher, she says, oh my gosh, I'm so glad you came to the game. And he was like, she said, yes, I came to the game, and I won't be coming to any more of your games because you're a different woman, and I did not like what I heard on the court. And it changed her. She said from that day forward, she never cussed on the court again, never. But she didn't have a chance to tell her teacher that. And she prayed on an opportunity to tell her teacher that for forever. For so many years, she prayed on it. She said, if I can see this teacher again, I could tell this teacher that she changed my life. Like, whatever cussing she was doing on the court spilled into her life some way, somehow. But when she stopped it, she just kept praying that I want to be able to tell this teacher what this teacher did for me. And she found this teacher. This teacher found her, of all places, in Italy, from New York. She's visiting Italy. She said that she was talking to somebody else, and the teacher recognized her voice and called her by name and said, is that you? And she says, oh my God, this is my teacher. And she was able to tell her teacher what she did for her. And some random heaven chance, like, of all places, like Dr. Chemisia, that stuff that happens to you, like you run into old friends in another part of the world.
Isn't that crazy?
It's so crazy. So the reason why I tell that story is I wanted to bring up another hack or something else that somebody can even ponder and consider, is the consistency. Because you pray does not mean you're going to get the thing tomorrow or next week or next year. It might be in 35 years. And to some people, that sounds like, what? I have to wait to that? You don't have to wait for it and meanwhile do nothing. And we don't sit here watching paint dry or playing with our thumbs. We continue living and living the best that we can. But some of our prayers are not ready for us, and we're not ready for them. Right. Mm-hmm. And they'll come when the time is right. For whatever reason, it took 35 years for this woman to actually meet up with her teacher again, to share with her teacher what she had done to her or in her life, for her life. And so I feel like the consistency part, and knowing that faith does not mean you're going to get it tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Faith means that you're going to get it when God sees it fit for you to have that blessing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And everyone's journey is unique. Everyone's growth is unique.
Yeah.
It's so unique. There's like, I can't compare my growth, abundance, or journey to yours, mm-hmm. nor can you compare to mine, because my abundance is only mine and your abundance is yours. So it's not going to look the same. And I was talking to my sweetie earlier, and I was like, when I think of what's abundance for me, it could be just being able to work from home, being able to work one day a week, or that's okay, or making $300,000 a year, or whatever it is, right? And yours may be to travel the world as a coach or something. I don't know, mm-hmm. So we can't compare that. And once we stop comparing ourselves with other people, then I think that brings abundance as well.
Mm-hmm. And so comparison is a funny thing, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's like a double-edged sword. It could go the wrong way or it could go the right way. It could be the thing that promotes somebody's downfall, because they're trying so hard to keep up with the next person that they completely lose sight of what is important to them and what their success might look like. Or it could be the thing that motivates a person to do better. And coming from a childhood and coming from a life that I've been compared to somebody else, another human being, my whole life, simply because I was born a twin. Some aspects of it caused me to shun some of my light and skills and talent, and other parts it helped me thrive and just be the best that I can be in another aspect. So, and I feel like comparison is often needed, because through comparison we know what we don't want and we know what we do want, and sometimes that part is important as well. But to your point, when we compare ourselves and our success to somebody else's success, we're really making a disservice to ourselves, being a disservice to ourselves, because then I won't know what my potential is if I keep comparing myself to somebody else's potential, to somebody else's resources, to somebody else's faith, to somebody else's community, which is not fair if I don't possess that. So if I'm thinking, why am I not as successful as Beyonce? Well, Beyonce started this way when she was still like a baby, practically. And I cannot compare myself to her because I didn't start out that way. And she's traveled the world and probably had to endure some things that I would not be able to fathom. So I don't know somebody else's journey. I don't know what their steps. So for me to compare myself to anybody else would be causing me a disservice. So it's really about looking inside, seeing what I am allotted in life and making the absolute best out of that and breaking out of whatever it is that we feel might be holding us back. But it's not for us to compare ourselves to anybody else.
Amen. 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 Because it just makes you feel awful anyway.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and the twin to that would be perfectionism. Stop being so perfect and trying to get things perfect right now. Because like I said, sometimes the best part of figuring it out are the steps in figuring it out.
Yeah, and the mistakes, right?
And the mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But you do have to, in order to grow, you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
You have to move
in that direction. You have to.
Yeah. And so don't get comfortable. Don't get comfortable. You can't stay stagnant. You have to grow and move. So in whatever that is. So there's no sitting back and waiting for an abundant lifestyle to come upon you. It's something you have to work at.
Yeah.
So, but every little bit counts. And I made a little quick, a little quick short the other day about, like a little bit is better than nothing.
Yeah.
Doing a little bit towards the abundant life or the goal is better than nothing. So it doesn't have to look full balls to the wall every single day. It can just be a little bit at a time.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And I don't know where we got this idea that we need to be perfect. Well, I know where. The school system. The school system where everybody's got to get 100 on their test,
and now everyone gets a trophy.
Now everyone gets a trophy.
What is that about? I don't like that. Some people love it. I don't.
Exactly. And that also teaches us that when we do something and there's not a trophy involved, it's like, did I do it wrong? What did I do wrong? Right. And we need to understand that sometimes the greatest lessons are in our mistakes. We need that. We can't be congratulated for everything that we do. It's kind of like when you're training the dog to poop outside, and every time the dog poops outside, you give it a treat. Finally, you're giving the dog a treat for something that the body does, not whether he wants it to happen or not. The body just does. A healthy body just does that. So that's not, that does not require a treat. But that's what our children have. And growing up, that's what we end up thinking, that we need to be perfect in order to be acclimated. We need, or in order to be acknowledged, rather. And we need to do things the right way the first time. And that's just a lot of pressure unnecessarily on folks. And that's not the way we learn. It's not the way we learn.
So honestly, I think this was a decent conversation tonight, you guys. We just kind of scratched the surface a little bit, but we've been talking for about like 30 minutes or so.
Just about.
Yeah, so I think we can end it there. I appreciate you guys being here tonight and talking to us about abundant mindset hacks. If you guys can think of any hacks that you want to share with us, with our audience, please do so. We will be getting together in November, I believe the 9th or the 10th. We'll have more of that information. The 10th. Okay. We'll have more of that information up on our website, blackcoffeehoneyandgrits.com. And this is it tonight, y'all. I will see you guys on Wednesday.
Yes.
Bye, y'all.
Thanks for joining us.